Here's a question I hear all the time. If the victim wants to drop the charges, does your case automatically go away? The quick answer is false. Once the police are involved and charges are filed, it's no longer up to the victim. My name is Joseph Reese, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer here in Houston, Texas. I work with people every day who are shocked to find out that they don't have so much control of their case as they thought. Today, let's break down why the victim doesn't get to just drop charges, especially in family violence cases. And if you're in the situation right now, don't wait around hoping it all disappears. Call me so we can talk through your options. Let's start with the myth. A lot of people believe that if the victim says, "I don't want to press charges," that's the end of it. Maybe the victim even signs an affidavit of non-prosecution saying they don't want to go forward. It sounds simple, and that's how it would work in a civil lawsuit. If you sue someone, you can decide later to dismiss the case. But here's the reality. In Texas, criminal charges aren't filed by the victim. They're filed by the state of Texas. Once the police write that report and the DA accepts the case, it's the state of Texas versus the defendant. The victim doesn't own the case anymore, the state does. That means only the prosecutor gets to decide if the case is dropped or dismissed. Now let's make this real with an example. Say there's an argument between spouses, the police are called, and one person gets arrested for assault family violence. The very next day, things cool down and the other spouse says, "I don't want them prosecuted, I just want this to be over." A lot of people assume that means the DA will just shut the case down and dismiss the case. But in reality, many DA's offices in Texas have what's called a no-drop policy. They know that victims in family violence cases often feel pressure, maybe emotional, maybe financial, to take back their statements. So even if the victim wants to walk away, the prosecutor may keep moving forward with the case depending on the evidence. They don't always need the victim's testimony. They might rely on the 911 call, the body cam footage, photos of the injuries, medical records, or even statements from neighbors or other witnesses. I've seen cases go all the way to trial without the victim ever taking the stand. So the idea that the case just dies if the victim doesn't cooperate, that's simply not true. Another point of confusion comes up with restraining orders and protective orders. A client might tell me, "Well, the victim doesn't want the protective order anymore, so we're good, right?" Unfortunately, no. Once a judge signs a protective order, it stays in place until the judge changes it. Even if the victim wants contact again, if you violate that order, you can now face a new criminal charge on top of the original case. That can make your situation a whole lot worse. And finally, let's talk about testimony. Some people think, well, if the victim refuses to testify, the case gets tossed. Not always. The state can subpoena the victim, and if they don't show up, they could be held in contempt of court. In some cases, prosecutors can even get certain statements admitted without the victim being there if there's an exception to the hearsay rule that applies. So the risk doesn't go away just because the victim is uncooperative. So here's the bottom line. Once law enforcement gets involved, it's no longer up to the victim. It's up to the state of Texas. That's why it's so important not to wait around or assume that the case is just going to disappear. You need someone in your corner who knows how to challenge the evidence, how prosecutors make their decisions, and how to protect your rights from the very beginning. The reputation of a seasoned trial lawyer is a difference that can put your case over the top for a dismissal. I'm Joseph Reese, a criminal defense lawyer here in Houston. If you or a loved one is facing charges and you've been told the victim can just drop it, don't risk your future on bad information. Call me today and let's talk about how we can fight this together.